Welcome back to the Refined Society podcast. Today we're going to be giving you fresh perspective on wealth. My name is Jonathan.
And my name is Ruben.
You know, as we go on to this podcast, I'm going to have you react to a certain video from a very, very great basketball player.
Okay.
He goes by Giannis A. I don't know his last name.
Oh, you don't know how to pronounce it?
I don't know how to pronounce his last
Sorry,
name.
Giannis. My brother can't pronounce your name.
But he's a NBA player, very, very great player. And I think what he says, he's responding to a reporter in this situation, asking him a question that many people can get asked or ask themselves for their own life. And I think we have to take this into understanding on how we should take failure in our life. Okay.
Oh, that sounds good.
So this is Giannis.
Do you view this season as a failure?
You get frustrated.
You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Ooh. Okay. Do you get the promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me?
No.
No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no? Okay, exactly. So why are you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. Yes. There's no failure in sports.
He says it in sports, but I want to also apply it at least in our area, especially like as entrepreneurs, we're learning so much. And I'll just bring it into context, like in boxing. Recently, Ryan Garcia just fought Gervonta Davis. Damn. They were both undefeated. Yeah. Right? They're both undefeated, but one of them got a loss now. Yeah. In the boxing world, also, if you have a loss, many people is like, nah, this guy is trash. This guy is bad. Yeah. He lost already. Yeah. But in reality, like to hold an undefeated streak like Floyd Mayweather, you need to be like good.
You gotta be Floyd.
Yeah, they ain't nobody like him. But I think we should take like this understanding of failure. Like it's not failure if you're going towards a goal. It's only failure if you didn't do anything about it.
See, many people, when it comes to failure, I love how he took it, man.
Yeah.
He switched it. I'm like, he's not trying to fail.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm trying to win a championship every year.
It's like you think I got into the NBA to just be a failure?
To be mediocre?
To lose?
First of all, you don't just get into the NBA being a failure. You get into it because, hey, you worked hard. You show some value. You have some talent. You have some skill. You have some work ethic. We want you part of it. And there's only a select few people who get into this league. Yeah. There's the G League. These are the people who couldn't make it into the big leagues. And this is the thing, like, when I see this, many people, when they fail, instead of letting that be fuel for them to find the next possible way, they let that failure discourage them. Like, failure is not something you should be scared from. Yeah. Failure is something that you should embrace and invite. Failure is the best teacher in the world because failure is what's going to show you what works and what doesn't work. And that's the thing. It's not a mistake. It's a lesson. Yeah. And that's how we have to see failure as. That's the teacher that's going to tell me, this is the way you got to do it. And this is the way you can't do it.
I think how people view failure is like falling short, not reaching what you wanted. Yeah. And I think what Giannis was saying in this is like, my goal is to win championships. Just because one season I didn't doesn't mean I am a failure. Like I'm going towards a goal. If it doesn't happen in this season, I'm gonna make sure it happens the next.
He brought MJ into this, bro.
Yeah, MJ won 6 championships, lost other 9.
Towards the ends of his, I'm gonna be honest. Towards the end of MJ's career, he was trash. Yeah. He wasn't the best. Okay, I'm not hating. Okay, I love Jay.
He's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT, bro. I'm not gonna hate on it. I'm just telling you, statistically speaking, he wasn't looking the best anymore. He wasn't in his prime anymore. And nobody's always going to be in their prime. There's always going to be someone new. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that person's a failure. Like, he was the work ethic, the tenacity, the consistency that he put, the discipline that he put, all led him to have the success. But in the process, I mean, Giannis brought MJ into this. Yeah. MJ didn't even make his high school team. Failure. Yeah. Not meant for the NBA, not even for the G League, bro. Yeah. But that doesn't stop him. And what that does is just shows you, hey, this is a way that doesn't work, and this is a way this works. You got to improve this. You got to start working on this. And that's what failure, instead of letting failure consume you, let failure teach you.
Yep.
teach you.
Yeah.
It's not gonna feel pretty. Nobody wants to be rejected. Nobody wants to mess up. Nobody wants, and that's why many of you guys are not taking opportunities. And God's saying, take the opportunity, because even my disciples had moments of failure. Weren't we talking about Peter in church a couple days ago, where Peter sank? He would be a failure, right? Yeah. Because he doubted Jesus.
Didn't you see Jesus'
he didn't have faith,
miracles?
Right? Didn't you see those miracles? You're the rock.
You literally were just walking on water. Isn't that enough to believe?
Honestly. And then, Jesus said, you'll be my rock, the rock that will build the church, right? And then he starts sinking like a rock, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Even the disciples failed, but Jesus was willing to reach him at his at and teach him.
Yeah, and teach him it's like, hey, in this situation, put your eyes on me.
Yes.
Whenever there's the doubt, whenever there's the lesson, put your eyes on me. I will teach you. And I think what Giannis was expressing is more than just like the sport. It's the goal. My goal is not to be a failure. My goal is not to lose.
It's to be the best.
If this season I didn't get it, then I have to learn from it. I have to adjust some things. And it's only a failure if you just leave it there. Mm-hmm. If you give up. Yes. The only time you need to make a failure and turn it into a lesson.
Yes.
Turn it to where it's like, this is my opportunity to see my weaknesses. This is an opportunity for me to see where I can work on, because then that will make you better. That will make you a better NBA player. That's why his perspective is in that. If I failed this year, let me dissect what I did wrong. What did I do wrong? Where are my weaknesses? The next year, that's no longer a weakness anymore. And make it my strength. And I think as we're going in our businesses, I didn't reach the revenue goal. I didn't manage to scale this up. Well, what can you do now then? Don't just leave it there. If you have a passion for it, if you have a purpose for it, what can you do better than in this time?
You know why? You heard of Toyotas, right?
Yes.
There's actually the car, right? Yeah. Okay, if you have a Toyota, you probably have a Prius, Camry, Corolla. The best-selling car in America is actually the Toyota Corolla.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why this car has had so much success, it has a story. I watched the documentary on Toyota on how their upbringing, they were actually using their vehicles for military purposes at one time during the World Wars. But also this car went through so many ups and downs. Today, Toyota is one of the biggest brands, if not the biggest brand of cars out there right now, the biggest car maker out there. But what happens is that these cars are very efficient.
Yep.
They last. Nobody complains about their Toyotas, man. Toyotas last, and one of the values that they have in their company is ways to constantly improve. Mm-hmm. It's good. Well, how can we make it better? Yeah. But it's good.
Yeah.
How can you make? This is where you go from being good to being excellent to being legend. Is where you start seeing, okay, there's still room for improvement, and that's what failure does. Like, hey, it falls short of what you were looking for. That's what failure is, falling short of what you're looking for. Yeah. And the thing is this, these guys, that's why their cars are always lasting, because they have a principle that they have to go through. I think it was like a test that they have in place that goes through multiple tests. The same engine, the same tire, the same everything goes through a test and test and test until say, hey, how can we make the aerodynamics a little bit better? How can we make the engine a little bit better? It's already great. How can we make it better?
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's always about learning, and this is where I think you become a legend. In your business and as a leader in your organization, or whether your church, is where you're always come out with a humble attitude to say there's always room to improve.
Yeah.
And that requires somebody to swallow their pride. Don't let failure get away from you trying to pivot, but let this be a lesson so that you can get wiser.
Yeah. And if you're going into like in that world of inventing, an inventor's first prototype is not what their end is.
See, you gotta.
Like if you look at the Tesla truck, dude, that prototype did not work out the way it should have.
And actually, Elon actually talked about, because there was people hitting it with the sledgehammer the whole day, and then when the rock finally got hit, it broke. Because I'm like, because he's like, bro, I tested it before.
Yeah, and it worked, but
and that's the thing,
that's what is so good about it. Because you might have gotten to a certain point, but whenever another situation had come just like that, like it was meant to last at a certain point. But whenever it got to showtime, it did not go as good. Meaning that now you found another weakness. It doesn't last as long now. So what do we have to do? Adjust to that. That doesn't mean it's a failure.
You gotta have an angry person with a sledgehammer constantly in the truck.
Yeah. That doesn't mean they failed at it. That just means, okay, now there's room for improvement. Like there's room to make it better.
We found out it's weak point.
Yeah.
So how can we make elevate that?
Yeah.
How can we make it better?
Like they thought they had it all together. They thought they had success right there, to where they felt like, nah, nothing can go wrong. Which is, I think, where we as entrepreneurs need to understand. You might be successful, but if something like a little situation that was not set up properly or you didn't expect to happen comes in and then destroys everything, then you have to be like, in that success of like, okay, where are some areas that are flawing in right now that we're overlooking? What's some areas that are weakening our profit margins right now? And how can we make it better?
And it makes me think of another disciple, Paul. He could have every reason to say, I'm not worthy of being a disciple, because before Paul was Paul, he was Saul, and he was persecuting, killing Christians.
Yeah.
He could have said his failure of a life, because in God's eyes, like, bro, you persecuted my people. You even Jesus said, why do you persecute? And that's one of the things like that Paul could have used that as an excuse. So why not? That's why he boasts about his weakness. That's why he boasts about his failures, because in those moments, that's where God is glorified. And that's what I want to encourage you today. Is like, hey, do not use your story as an excuse. Maybe you didn't have the best upbringing. Maybe you have failed in a lot of other ventures, or maybe you've failed in many different relationships. That doesn't mean it's the end. It's just reminding you of all the lessons that you can learn and get better and work on yourself and work on, hey, maybe you weren't, it's not your fault you were born into a poor family, but it is your fault if you die poor.
Yeah.
You have to make the decision to improve your life, to change your life, to change the directory. Like we can testify to that through our family generations. We come from a poor side of Mexico. What I mean? Our family comes from there, and the upbringing that doesn't give you an excuse to, just because I'm poor, because I grew up poor, I have to always stay poor. No, change your life, and God is for that. The Bible tells us that wealth is a gift from God. If we want God to help us grow in this gift, we have to do our part, but also invite Him in the process of changing our mind, our thought process, our belief systems, so that we can see failure not as an enemy, but as a friend.
Yep.
So I encourage you guys, if this podcast has made a difference for you, man, like, subscribe, put a comment down below. If you want to support the podcast, we have our Christian clothing brand that supports us with a 50% off coupon, guys. Go down there on the link in the bio, get it. It supports the channel so that we can constantly give you guys content like this and bring value to y'all's lives.
If our channel is bringing value to you, be sure to subscribe, because we have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. So be part of that movement. So make sure you subscribe, like, comment in our videos, and turn on that notification bell so you can be notified every single time we post.